Hey, so back again with another video on Rust. So I was just perusing the Rust documentation, and I was thinking of what I could do to start off with Rust and programming. So I already have a function that I created in Golang to determine whether or not a string is a palindrome. So I figured, why not go ahead and just try and replicate that same thing, but in Rust using its syntaxes, and get to learn what it's like to program in Rust. So, the first thing to do would be to see how Rust, how you're supposed to create functions in Rust. So let's just look at that. Looks like they have a lot of different types of ways that you can do it. They have this one, associated functions and methods. I was looking over this, and it looks like it's kind of like, with structs in Go having receiver functions, and whereas like this function is tied to the struct definition. And then closures I didn't really look into yet. But if I come back, but here's where I was thinking, maybe I can use this syntax right here to be able to go ahead and create a function to implement my palindrome logic. So it seems like the convention when naming things is to have everything lowercase and to have underscores. So I'm just going to name this is underscore palindrome and underscore string to replicate this function over here on the right that I have written in Golang. So, and it's going to return a Boolean, which is good because that's what I need for my palindrome function. I need to pass in a string variable. So let's go over here and see the different types for Rust. Let's see. Primitives, there we go. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, so I'm gonna keep looking. I thought I had seen one in here already. Let me see. I'm looking for primitive types, but it's not seeming to give me the different types that are there. And the other one, okay, nice. So we have our scalar types, which we have integers, unassigned integers, floating point, character, Boolean. So I'm not seeing string actually. So let me see if that's a thing with Rust. Rust string type. Okay, I guess maybe that's because it's not considered a primitive type in here, and that's maybe the reason why it's not there. If you know the answer, please go ahead and just leave it in the comments below, or I can go ahead and Google later on. But okay, so this is how you declare a string. So it looks very different than what I'm used to. So let's see, create an empty and growable string. So that's probably what I want to use. So I'll just go ahead and copy this, but I'm looking down here further into the code to see what it is needing. Okay, so it's actually, so when it creates this string, it's allowing you to append characters onto this, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for. But I guess let me just go ahead and look up Rust passing string to function. There we go. Let's see. Good old Reddit. In a function that expects a string, you can pass any string like type. So I'm assuming maybe it's just this ampersand and then the string variable name. So let's just give this a go and see. Yeah, I'm learning as I go. So that seems to be taking it fine. I guess we'll see at the compilation. So at this point, my function signature is identical. And so now let's go ahead and declare a string variable and set it to lowercase for that. So let's go ahead and see Rust string to lowercase. Let's see. It looks like they already have some documentation here. to lowercase. So you can, looks like you can use that on a string and you can use it on a char character. So, okay. So let's come over here and, or go back here actually, and see about binding. Automatically, variables in here will be immutable, so you won't be able to change the value. So you have to make sure you're setting it to be mutable. So by just putting that MUT in front. So I'm just going to rename this to text. Or actually, oh, I don't need to create a new variable because I'm just going to be working with the text that I already have. So that is okay. It seems at this point all I need to do is just do text equals text dot to lower case. And I don't have anything right now, any extension for Rust, so let's see what extensions are available. So looks like there's a widely used one. Let's go ahead and say we trust it. I'll wait for this to install. All right, so it looks like it finished installing. Hopefully this gives me like Rust libraries and functions that I need, but it's not giving any hints. So let's see. Okay, so Rust Analyzer. Oh, it looks like there's an error with it completely. So yeah, so I was unable to fetch the workspace. So let's go ahead and see what the issue is. Okay, so one thing that I just learned now is that when you're creating a Rust project, you have to use cargo to create your project. So let me go ahead and do that. So we got cargo new. Let's just come over here to terminal. Cargo new, and I'll just say coding. I'll say, well, I'll put the whole thing, Rust coding challenges. All right, so it looks like it created it. Oh wow, okay. There was a few things I was missing. So now it has this file here. Okay, it looks like it has the name of the project, the version of it, and the edition, and then an area where I'm assuming that's where dependencies would go. So I'm just going to do some manipulations on my end just to fix up the project structure. Now let's come back here and open up the project again. So yeah, I'm just learning as I go. May make for a long video, but I just want to try something new and just kind of just show me learning something new. So let's go. Let's see if this works now. All right, Rust Analyzer looks like it's good now. I'm not seeing any errors down here. So yeah, so let's just kind of let's go back to what I had done, which was FN, and then I did is palindrome underscore string, and then inside here I had text, and then ampersand str for string, and it looks like it's giving me some auto completions, so that looks like it's working now. So I do text and then equals text dot, yep, okay, now it's picking up for sure. Okay, so now we can see we got that to lowercase. It looks like it's giving me an error here, not too sure what it is exactly. Okay, so, oh, that's not it. Maybe it is a package that it's requiring to be able to do that. Okay, so it's saying that it is expecting a ampersand string, and it found this string. So let me see what the difference is between the ampersand string and string in Rust. I think actually it was listed here. Yes, okay. A string is stored as a vector of bytes, but guaranteed to always be a valid UTF sequence. String is a heap allocation, growable, and not null terminated. Whereas the ampersand str is a slice that always points to a valid UTF-8 sequence and can be used to view a string, just like ampersand t to view is a view into a vect t. So I'm not really needing a slice right now. I don't really see a need for that. So I'll go ahead and change this to string and see if that resolves my error, and it does. And it should be returning a Boolean. It's saying mismatch because I think this nothing is returning yet, but let's kind of just move on. So I had one in here to replace punctuation, but since I'm very new to Rust, I'm not going to go ahead and take that extra step. I'm just going to assume that there's no punctuation in there. And then let's go ahead and declare an integer that is equal to 0. So let's go ahead and see about that over here. Okay, yeah, so primitives here, we have our different types of integers, very many of them. So we have 8 byte, 16 byte, 32 byte, and so on. So I'm trying to remember what Golang's int is. Let's see. Golang default integer. So int could be bigger than 32, or sometimes, or on some systems like int and C. So I'm just going to make it int32 then, since that's like the quickest thing that I'm seeing right now. And then let me go back and see the assignment. Okay, so this is the assignment, and actually I think maybe I don't need to actually like declare it. It should just pick it up. Yeah, so it picks it up, and there we go. It's int32. I don't even have to define it. It's already there. All right, so I'm just going to rename this to left pointer. So that's now 0. So that's our starting point. And then the next thing that we want to do is create the one for right pointer. So that one, I need to get the length of a string. So let's see how you get the length of a string in Rust. All right, so after looking over this, it looks like the only way to really get the length of a string is to get the characters of that string and then get the count of the string. So let's go ahead and do that over here. And then our string would be text. So that should give us the whole length of it. And then we'll just do -1 because we don't want, let's see. Let's see if an array starts at 0 in Rust. So let's see. Arrays and slices. There we go. There we go. So yes, it looks like, at least with the slices, starts with 0. Okay, yep. So first element of the array is 0. So we can assume that it's going to be starting from 0 to whatever nth number. And I would have to do -1 to be able to get that last index. So that should be good. So now at this point, we have done all of this except for the replacement punctuation. And now let's head into using an if statement. So let's see. An if statement would be under flows and flows of control. Here we go. So it looks very similar to the way it is in Go, to be honest. There's no parentheses around the conditional statement. So it should be very similar. So in this case, I would be doing my length, but it would be this chars count of the text. And I'm just going to check and see if it's equal to 1. And if it's equal to 1, I'm going to return true. All right. And then now we're going to head into for loops. So let's go ahead and check out for loop and see how those work. Okay, yeah, so this one looked like it was just like an infinite loop that you would create and then just create, you know, conditionals in here to either continue or to break. But that's not what I'm looking for right now. All right, so this is more so what I'm looking for. It would be just a good old while loop. So I'm just going to copy this just because, and then replace it with what I need. So we're going to go ahead and do left pointer is less than our right pointer, and I named this the same thing. So that's interesting. It did not catch that. And then we're going to go ahead and implement our if statement. So let's see how we get a character based off the index. Or actually, let's just see. Let's see if we can do text dot and then see what we can get from it. And maybe there's like a char at or something like that. Yeah, so I looked through there and I didn't really see anything, so I'm just gonna go ahead and look it up online. So what I want to do is get the character at an index of a string, and then this would be specifically in Rust. So, okay, so I had seen these in here, but I didn't really understand how they could be used. Since they were plural, didn't really seem like it would work. Okay, so you would have your text, and then you would break it down to get the chars, to get the characters, and then you would do the nth, and then it would give you whatever it is at that indice. So let's just go ahead and copy this and take it over to the code and paste that there. So we're going to be working with text instead, and the nth that we're looking for in this case would be the left pointer. Okay, so we're getting the character at the left side, and then we want to see if whether or not it's equal to the text on the right side. So let's just go ahead and copy this. Oh, not the whole thing, just this part here. And there we go. And we'll change this here to right. And then in that. Okay, so that looks like it's good. But I do want to just make sure that that's how you do a string comparison in Rust, because I know like in Java it's a little different. So it looks like you can do that. I'm seeing that. So it looks like that's a valid way to make a comparison. So I'll leave it as that, and then let's just keep moving on. So if it is that, if they're not equal, then we're going to go ahead and return false. And then we're just going to decrement. So I want to see if there's any shorthand way of decrementing a value. Shorthand Rust. Okay, so it looks like there aren't, you don't have that shortcut way of decrementing like you do in most languages. So that's okay. We'll just go ahead and do it the long way. So left pointer, and we'll equal left pointer plus 1. And just trying to make sure I remember these semicolons. I'm so used to Go where I don't have to add those, but just keeping myself on my toes, making sure I'm adding it in there. So decrement by 1, and it's the same logic that we have over here. And then I just need to make sure I'm closing out this while loop, and yeah, and then it should be returning true if all goes well. So after resolving this down here, it looks like it's giving me an issue up here, saying that the text is immutable. So maybe that's just because it's coming in as a parameter, and it's still considered to be mutable or immutable. So maybe I'm thinking maybe I just add in mute in front of string. Nope. All right, so let's take a look at the Googles. So make a function argument mutable in Rust. Okay, so it looked like I was pretty close to what I was thinking, but it looks like it should be in front of here. And it just went away, the error went away. So now let's just go ahead and test this out. We'll call the function and pass in race car. So it's giving me an error. I'm not too sure. It's okay, so it's saying it found a ampersand string. So it's still considered a slice of characters. So let me see how to pass in a string to a function in Rust. So maybe I have to use this into. I'm not too sure what this is exactly, but let's see, into. Okay, that's not working. So saying there's a mismatch of types. Not too sure the issue. So let me just take it back a step. What I could do is just, maybe just create a variable and a string and then pass it in. Oh, there it goes. So maybe it was an issue with my ampersand, or not my ampersand, but my semicolon that it was missing. So let me just try that again and do dot into. Okay, yeah, so I think that was the issue before. I didn't have my semicolon at the end, so that'll do it. All right, so that looks good. So let's just go ahead and compile this and run it and see what we get. We need to cd into our source folder, and now we're gonna do rust C, and this allows us to compile this main file. So now you see that the executable has been created, and then we do dot and then / main, and that allows us to run it. And I ran it, but I did not create any kind of print statement. So let's see how print statements are done in here. We can just kind of come back to here. Okay, so print line, and there's no function or anything ahead of it. It's just or class ahead of it. It's just print line. So let's go ahead and run that. Just make sure we get our closing parenthesis there. Right, it's giving me an error. Maybe that's because this is here. Okay, maybe that's just so I can print literals. How do I print variables would be the next question. Okay, so let's do it like this and see. So I would just take my function here and pass that in there. Make sure I close that out with the semicolon, and maybe there's a missing parenthesis. No. Oh, yes it is. Okay. So now let's go ahead again and compile that again and run the file. Nice. So we were able to replicate this palindrome function that takes in a string and lets you know whether or not the string is a palindrome or not. So I want to just test this again with just one more, test case just to see and make sure it's not just a fluke. So let's just go ahead and pass in something that should be false. And there you go, it came back as false. So yeah, first successful program, writing in Go, not in Go, so used to Go, writing in Rust. So yeah, it's pretty neat to be able to kind of go back and forth between the two and just see the differences in syntax and just learning a new language. I've never worked with Rust before, so it's pretty cool to be able to make that transition or that conversion over. So yeah, that was my video on Rust and just kind of exploring the documentation and replicating the function that I already had existing in Go.